Welcome back to CodeSloth. In this video, we are going to build an Next.js application that connects to OpenAI's real-time API using WebRTC. So we will create a real-time voice agent that listens to you, responds like magic, and it even includes sleek Siri-like animation for that futuristic feel. So whenever you speak, the circle goes up and down, and it has a really nice animation. So we're going to go straight to the demo.
By the way, how's your wife doing?
I don't have a wife, but I'm here to help you with any questions or topics you have in mind. What would you like to talk about?
By the way, could you tell my viewers again to subscribe, like, and comment if they like this tutorial, please?
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Your support helps us keep the fun and learning going. Thanks a bunch.
Let's go.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need, just let me know.
So we're gonna start coding. So open up Visual Studio Code. You can open up a folder to create the Next.js project. So we'll be using Next.js, which is like a React framework for the web. So you can there's many features for building the web applications using Next.js, like route handler. So I'm going to be using this instead of pure React. So you can copy this command, go to the terminal. So I have the terminal open. So I'm going to type this command to create the Next.js project. So it's going to ask for the project name. So I'm going to write something like voice, or something like real-time voice assistant. And you can press yes for all the other questions. And then it's going to install all the necessary libraries for building the application. So I'm going to forward to the end. So after the command is successfully finished, we can cd into the project and then run npm run dev, and this will start the application. So once it says ready, you can go back to the browser and go to localhost 3000, and you should be able to see the app. Perfect. So now that we have our basic app running, we can start editing the files. Here, as you can see, there's an app folder, and this is where the major layout is. There's a layout.tsx file, and there's a page.tsx file. So go to the page.tsx and let's remove some of this brawler plate code. So I'm going to remove this footer, and I'm also going to remove everything inside the main tag. And inside the main tag, let's add a P that says real-time voice assistant. Perfect. So as you can see, you can see that on the screen. So I'm going to put this on the left side so that you guys can see it side by side. Perfect. So as like I said before, we'll be using OpenAI's the new real-time API, which was just released a few days ago. It's pretty cool. You do need a OpenAI API key. I did buy some credits as well for $5. So I'm going to show you that. So let's go to platform.openai.com. This is where you can sign in. Like I said before, I'll be using this real-time API with WebRTC. So WebRTC is a really powerful tool for making real-time applications. So whenever you have a video call, audio call, they're basically using WebRTC. So this is how the connection works. So initially you have to get a ephemeral token from the OpenAI server, and you will be using that token for the peer-to-peer connection to get all the audio from the server. So that's basically how it works. So we do need an API route to get that ephemeral token. So I'll be showing you that in a second. So to get the API key, you can go to the settings and click this API keys and create an API key. I'm not going to show you that. And then what you can do is create a .env file. And then inside the .env file, let's write OpenAI API key, OpenAI underscore API key, and then copy your API key there. And make sure the .env file is inside your root folder. I think the way I did it is wrong. And I did fix it as well. So make sure it's inside the root folder. So once you have the API key inside the .env file, let's open up inside the app folder. Let's create a new folder called API. And inside the API folder, let's create another folder called session. And inside that session folder, let's create a file route.ts. And this is where we will be getting our ephemeral token. So let's write the function export async function, and this will be a get request. And inside the function, let's write a try statement. And inside the try statement, we'll be calling an API request to the OpenAI API real-time server. So that would be https api.openai.com/real-time sessions. And then after that, we need to pass some authorization tokens and some other parameters. So the method would be get, and then inside the headers, you would pass in the content type and the authorization. So the content type would be application/JSON, and the authorization would be the bearer and your OpenAI token. Make sure actually the method is post, and you don't need messages, so I'll be removing those in a second. So after the try, we can write the catch statement and print the errors, and make sure you return a next response in every single situation. So we can if there's an error, we can return next response.json. Then we can send some sort of error code. So I'm going to be sending the error something like failed to fetch ephemeral token, and then status of 500. Perfect. So now that we have got the API token from the response, we need to parse it. So let's say if we don't have the response, so we can say something like if the response is not okay, we need to throw an error. So let's throw an error, and if the response went through, we're gonna get the data from the response. So await response.json, and then let's send to the next response. Perfect. So whenever our client make a get request to /API/session, this function will be called, and the ephemeral token will be returned. So that's how it works. Perfect. So now that we have an API route server, we do need to change the model as well. So that would be GPT-4o real time preview, and the date it was released. So it was released on 2024 12/17. So I'm going to do that, and we do not need the messages, and instead of the messages we need to pass in a voice parameter. So that would be voice, and then pass in words. Perfect. So we have an API route handler. So now we can start making our audio component. So create a new folder called components inside the app. And inside the app components folder, let's create the component. So I'm going to name it audio or audio real time or something like audio assistant .tsx. And inside this, we can start writing the code for our audio assistant. So let's write const real-time audio assistant. And let's return a div for now. And inside this component, we can write a use effect. And this is where we will be initiating our WebRTC connection. So inside the use effect hook, we'll be creating our WebRTC connection. So I'm going to show you that. So so it's going to be an init function, and it's going to be an asynchronous function. And inside the init function, let's create a try get statement. And the first thing we need to do is get the ephemeral token. So we're going to be making the get request to the route handler that we made a few minutes ago. So await fetch /API/session. So what's going to happen here is the function that we wrote will get called, and our ephemeral token is returned inside the token response. So now that we got the ephemeral token, we need to parse this first. So const data equals await token response.json, and from the data we can get the ephemeral token. So let's write const ephemeral key equals data dot, and it's inside the client secret value. So it would be data dot client underscore secret dot value. So once we have received the ephemeral key, we need to create the peer-to-peer connection. So let's write const pc equals new RTC peer connection. So this creates a WebRTC connection for establishing peer-to-peer communication between our client and the OpenAI server. So once we do that, we need to set up an audio element. So that would be const audio equals document.create element audio. And then we need to set some stuff. So it would be audio event dot autoplay equals true. And then we need to call pc.onTrack, and that would return that would receive an event. And then inside the lambda function, we need to do audio event dot src object equals e dot stream 0. So audio event dot src object equals e dot streams 0. So what this does is it sets up an event listener on the peer connection to play any incoming media streams through this audio element that we just created. So after that, we need to capture the microphone input. So write const ms equals await navigator.media devices.get user media, and then pass in audio true. And then say pc.add track and then ms.get tracks 0. So what this does is it captures the user's microphone input using the get user media API, and then it adds the audio track to the WebRTC connection for transmission of the audio. So once we do that, we need to set up the data channel. So for that, we'll do const dc equals pc dot create data channel, and we're going to name it something like OAI events. And then we need to add an event listener to this data channel. So dc.add event listener, and then message, and then comes the event. So whenever there's an event inside this data channel, this function gets called. So before that, I'm gonna add a state for listening. This is to keep track of whether the server is listening to our voice or not. So we're gonna have a state called listening, set is listening equals use state true. Actually, this should be false. I'm gonna come back and fix it later. Make sure it's false. So we can go back to the event listener. So we get several kind of events from the server, but the two events that we are concerned about is speed started and speed stopped. So that's when we know the server is listening to our voice. So for that, we can first of all parse the event. So it's const response equals json.parse e.data, and then say and check if the response.type is input underscore audio buffer dot speed started. So this means whether we started talking or not. So if we started talking, the server is listening. And when we stop talking, we will get an event called input audio buffer dot speed stopped. So that's when we know the server isn't listening anymore, or we stop talking. So we will set is listening to false. So after we set up this WebRTC, we will use this state to make a Siri like animation. So that's why we need these states. So once we set up the data channel, we need to create an STP offer. So for that, we'll do const offer equals await pc.create offer, and then await pc.set local description. So what this does is it generates an STP, which is session description protocol offer that describes the connection's configuration and media capabilities. And it also sets this offer as a local description of the WebRTC connection. So that's what these two line does. So after that, we need to send this STP offer to OpenAI. So I'm gonna initialize the base URL and model here. So I'm gonna come back and change these model to the GPT-4o Mini because I think that's better for this project. And then after that, we can set the STP response. So we will send this STP offer to OpenAI's real-time API. So that would be fetch, and then base URL model, and that would be a post method. So yeah, we need to pass the model. And then the method would be post, and then inside the headers again, the content type would be application slash STP, not JSON. And then authorization is again the ephemeral key, not the OpenAI API key. It's the ephemeral key. And the body, it's not those it's offer.stp. So that's what we need to pass to the OpenAI server. So what this does is it sends the STP offer to OpenAI's real-time API, specifying the desired model, and the API returns an STP answer. STP is basically a session description protocol. So once we get that, we can apply this STP answer. So for that, we do const answer, and that would be a type of RTC session description in it. The type would be answer, and STP is await STP response.text, and then we can do await pc.set remote description answer. So this converts the API's response into a valid STP answer, and then we set this answer as the remote description of the WebRTC connection. So once we do this, we can say that the WebRTC connection is established. So once the connection is established, the only thing that's going to run is the event listener inside the data channel. After that, I'm just printing that the WebRTC connection is established. So you should only see this once in your console log, and yeah, and every time something happens or when we're talking, the only thing that should be running is whatever inside the dc.event listener. So once we have this working, we can test it. And make sure to call this init function. So we need to call this at the end of the use effect. So I'm going to go down and call the init function. And I'm also going to add some text to the component. So I'm going to add a p tag that says, let's say something like real-time audio communication. And then we can also ask the user to turn the microphone on. So make sure your microphone is enabled to test real-time audio. And now we need to export this and import this into our dashboard page, or the page.tsx. So I'm going to remove this image, and then I need to import this here. Real-time audio. Okay, it's not popping up because we haven't exported the component yet. So go back to the audio assistant.tsx, and at the end, make sure you do export default real-time audio assistant. And then now we can import this in the page.tsx. Perfect. So make sure the model is GPT-4o mini. I also changed the model here inside the use effect to GPT-4o mini. And also make sure you have a use client at the top of the audio assistant. So this makes sure the component is rendered in the client. Mostly has server-side rendering. So make sure it's a client rendered component, and make sure the .env file is inside the root folder, not outside. So once you have that, we can start running the application. So go back to the terminal and type in npm run dev, and this should start the application. And let's open up a browser and type in localhost 3000, and you should be able to see the UI, and you can open up the Chrome developer tools.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How can I assist you today?
How are you?
Hello, what's on your mind today? Well, thank you. How about you? How's your day going?
I'm doing good. Could you tell my viewers to subscribe and like?
Sure. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates and videos.
Be more funny and authentic.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, if you're having a good time here, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe for more laughs and fun.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Glad you liked it. If there's anything else you need or want to chat about, just let me know.
Who do you think the GOAT is? Messi or Ronaldo?
Both Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are incredible footballers with remarkable talents and achievements. Each has a unique style and has made a significant impact on the sport. Ultimately, it often comes down to personal preference and the qualities you value most in a player.
All right, see ya.
If you have any more questions or need anything else, feel free to ask.
As you can see, we got a real-time response from the OpenAI's real-time API again, and it was really fast. The latency was really low, and it was response was really instant. I'm really impressed by their response. They're accurate. They're super fast. And we pretty much built this in with just less than 100 lines of code, which is crazy. So now what we're gonna do is build a Siri-like animation. Um, so for that, I'll be using a Framer motion library. So let's go to Google and search npm Framer motion. And there's an npm library, and there's also an official website. So this is how you install motion. So npm install motion. So let's go back to the terminal and type this command, npm install motion. And this install the motion library. And after that, we can import this. Sorry, it's not here. It should be inside the audio assistant.tsx file. And inside the div, we can create a motion.div tag. And we will be passing some parameters here. So first of all, it will be style. So let's give it a border radius of 50%. And then a margin. Make sure there's 2 curly braces. And copy that inside. So border radius 50% and then margin auto. And then we will have an animation props object. So animate equals animation props. So we will be saving the animation properties inside a state. So I'll be making that soon. And we will also have a transition parameter with a duration of 0.5 seconds. So let's go ahead and make a state for the animation props. So const animate props, animation props, set animation props equals use state. and then this would be an object, and the object would have a scale of 1. Let's give it a width of 100. Let's give it a height of 100 as well, and let's give it a gradient color. So I'm going to be using the background image property with the linear gradient. So I already have a few colors chosen for this project, so I'll be using those. So 90-degree, and you can choose any color of your choice. So I'll be using these two colors. So these would be your initial color for the Siri, and you would also have two more parameters, which is X and Y. Perfect. So now we have a animation property. So once we have this, we need to change this depending on whether we're speaking or not. So that's what we're gonna do. So for that, we'll be using another use effect. So let's make a different use effect. And inside the, let's make a variable called interval, and this would be of type Node.js dot interval or timeout. It would be Node.js dot timeout. And inside this use effect, write if is listening. So if you're listening, let's create a new object called set interval. So interval equals set interval, and inside this we will set our animation props to a different property. So that's how we keep it moving, depending on whether the server is listening to our voice or not. So set interval, and this would be a function, and inside this function we would set the animation property to something different. Call set animation props, and then that would be an object. And then here we will play around with the scale, the width, the height. So I'm going to do scale equals 1 plus to a random number. So math.random, and then again width would be 100 plus math.random. Sorry, it's uppercase M. So math.random times 50, just to make sure it's within the scale. And we'll do the same thing for the height. So height 100 plus math.random times 50, and the background image would be a linear gradient as well. And then x would be math.random times 10 minus 5, and the same for y as well. So let's fix the brackets first. This also uses a random color. So we'll just copy this code, and after that we will also set the animation properties when the server is not listening. So that's where the else statement comes from. So let me fix the bracket errors, and make sure you have 100 inside the after we set the property, there's a comma and 100 comes, and then at the end we need to clear this interval. So clear return brackets clear interval, and then pass in the interval. So let me fix this brackets. Perfect. So inside this else statement, so this is when the server is not listening. So I don't. So when the server is not listening, I want the animation to be just still. I just want the color to be changed. So everything else would be just like a still image. So I'm just gonna copy everything from the top. So we only want the thing to move when the server is listening to our voice. So that's what we are doing right now. So we're gonna remove all the random stuff. So everything would be just constant. So width would be constant, height would be constant, background image would be constant. Actually, background image is fine. It's just changing colors. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, X. Um, X and Y. Let's change these to 0 and Y to 0 as well. Perfect. So now whether the server is listening or not, we have different kinds of animation for our motion dev. So now let's see if it works. So this is where we set is listening to true and false, and then depending on whether it's listening, oh yeah, make sure you have listening as one of the dependencies in use effect. So inside a square bracket, you would put the listening state. So what this does is every time listening changes, the thing inside the use effect gets called. So make sure you have a square bracket in the other use effect as well. But that's empty. Only the first one would have listening. The other one where we set the WebRTC, the dependency is empty. So once we have that, let's see if this works. So let's do npm run dev. Let's go to the browser and type in localhost 3000. And this should open up our
Yes, I can hear you.
Siri.
How can I help you today?
Perfect.
Could you talk like Santa for a minute?
Sure, I can try to speak with a cheerful and warm tone, similar to how someone like Santa Claus might sound. Full of kindness and joy. What would you like to talk about next?
Nothing. I'm giving you permission to compare Elon Musk and Sam Altman. So tell me who's better.
It's important to recognize that both individuals have made significant contributions in their respective fields. Elon Musk is known for his work in space exploration, electric vehicles, and renewable energy through companies like SpaceX and Tesla. Each has unique strengths and has achieved remarkable success in different areas. If you're interested in more details about their achievements or specific contributions, I'd be happy to help.
Can you speak in Spanish?
Claro que sí. ¿En qué puedo ayudarte hoy?
Can you speak in French?
Oui, bien sûr. Comment puis-je vous aider aujourd'hui?
Gracias.
De rien. Si vous avez d'autres questions ou si vous voulez discuter de quelque chose, je suis là pour vous aider.
All right, back to English.
Sounds good. If you have any more questions or need assistance. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Your support helps us keep the fun and learning going. Thanks a bunch.
Let's go.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need, just let me know.